first year kicked off our 2023 fantasy season. Just want to thank you guys for being strong participants for the year. Really made it enjoyable for everybody. You're being celebrated by your host today, Zach Blair, and my fellow associate, Laura Saltos here. First off, Bailey Jeter, congratulations, Tyrone Tornadoes. Successful season, probably GM of the year based off the moves he made, because looking back on your draft, solid draft, but some of the pieces, they weren't there for you at the end. You lost out on Nick Chubb, you lost out on Anthony Richardson. Didn't matter. You made the pieces, you made the moves necessary. And you got the job done. Congratulations. Tyrone Tornadoes defeated Low-Key Yeet. Combined score 281 points to a victory over 269 points. Again, congratulations. Third place taken over by My Car Broke with a 238-point win over OG Deli. Cardiac Cats secured fifth place with a 114.54 to 109.66 win over Logan Smith. Anyways, got to get to the real grit here. Official loser of the Toilet Bowl and of the season, my man Parker Smith. That trade at the beginning of the year, trading your third round pick away for the startup. Not really cutting it. Would you agree?
I would agree.
All right. Next part of this introduction, we like to go in and provide our fantasy awards of the season. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. First off, we got team Low-Key, the juggernaut. Highest scored on the season, 1,701 points. Congratulations to Jake Nettie. Clearly dominating his opponents. Unfortunately, didn't get it at the end, but still a big-time award, big-time accomplishment. Congratulations to Low-Key. Next up, we got the Lame Duck Award. That's Team Stondre. Lowest point scored on the season, 1,218 points. Barely beat out Parker Smith, avoiding last place on the season. But still, got to get more points going forward, going in the future. Still believe in him, still believe he can step up, but something we're going to be look out for in the future. Congrats on the Lame Duck Award, Team Stondre. We got the Maestro, Tyrone Tornadoes. This award goes to the person who I think made the best GM moves throughout the season. He made a trade to start off the season, trading his first-round pick, which was Trevor Lawrence, for a first-round pick, which was Bijan Robinson, and then a third-round pick as well in the start. Big-time advantage. I believe he then, again, traded one of those third-round picks to secure Nick Chubb in the third round. So congratulations to him. Also made the trade for Kyron Williams. Ended up winning him the league. Also made another trade, trading Zach Wilson over for Cortland Sutton, who ended up being a pretty solid wide receiver on the season. Congratulations to Bailey and the Tyrone Tornadoes. Next up, we've got the Magikarp. The Magikarp goes to the lowest performance on the season. Week 9, only 60 points for anyone but Sam. Really just fish out of the water. Just ended up struggling, not getting it done. But congratulations on the Magikarp Award. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So first up, we got our Rookie of the Year, Puka Nacua. I mean, just watching this year, he's been electric. Cuts across here on the left, gets an EG a couple of yards. I mean, he's just a guy who never seems to go down first contact. He broke the receiving record for a rookie this year, and I believe he broke the reception record and yards record this year. He also, in the playoffs, he was electric. He had like 186 receiving yards. I got one, in my opinion, is the best pick in the draft this year. I believe it was Jordan Love taken round 10 by Bailey Jeter. He was a top 6 quarterback this year, young, 25 years old. I mean, Green Bay just seems like they've done it again. Like, it's going. It's another looking like stud quarterback for the third time around. Next up, got to give Transaction Player of the Year to Kyron Williams. This award goes to the most valuable player involved in a transaction this year, and the guy won Bailey the Fantasy League. He's absolutely dominant in the playoffs. Young, 23 years old, just an absolute stud. Absolutely worth giving up the pick 112 this year for Kyron Williams. So congratulations to Kyron Williams and the Tyrone Tornadoes on drafting Transaction Player. And finally, we got our fantasy MVP of the 2023 season, Christian McCaffrey of Team Low-Key. Absolutely dominant. Still just the number 1 most valuable player in the league. Just absolutely bullying in both the rushing and receiving game. Just a top-notch player for Team Low-Key this season. Major component for why he was the juggernaut of the year. And just a huge props to Christian McCaffrey on MVP. There's considerations for Tyreek Hill, Josh Allen, and CeeDee Lamb, but I've got to give it to Christian McCaffrey. The gap between him and running back 2 was just too massive to not applaud him with the fantasy MVP of the season. So congratulations, Team Low Key Heat and Christian McCaffrey. And that caps off our awards for the season. And congratulations to all those involved. Thank you. All right, guys, last part. We got our draft grades on the season. I'm just doing a postseason review, comparing the original grade compared to the new grade as well. Giving my thoughts on how their team's set up for the future, how it was set up for current success, and just overall, just big picture of overall draft grades. The draft grades are all subjective. You can absolutely prove me wrong anytime. I mean, you'll see throughout there are several that I just got flat out wrong in terms of who I thought was the best player, who I thought would be successful. Some players just didn't pan out, but that's what makes fantasy football so fun. So just appreciate everybody, and let's dive into it. First up, we got our juggernaut low-key Yeet. I mean, in terms of just an absolute unit across the board. He had a really nice blend of young players and old while just absolutely dominating the majority of the season. He took the MVP of the season, Christian McCaffrey, as his RB1. He had Mike Evans, wide receiver 5. But I think his best pick is probably Brock Purdy. I mean, he got 2 young, up-and-coming quarterbacks in Brock Purdy and Tua, and that's just something you really got to compliment him on. Top 50 had DJ Moore had his best season so far of his career, and then Josh Downs looked like a promising young wide receiver as well. I got to go with his worst pick is Dallas Goedert. Just could have been a little bit better performance from him of the year, but he was also hurt. So original grade, I gave him a C plus just because it was on the older side, but and the risky picks of Tua, and then also Brock Purdy. There was a chance Trey Lance was going to play, but it worked out for him. Got to give him the best grade of the league with an A. Next up, we got our champion, Tyrone Tornadoes. Original grade, I gave him an A. Postseason grade, got to give him an A minus. Only reason I'm bumping him down just a little bit is because of his round 2 and round 4 picks in Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb. When you're taking guys that early, you want them to be studs. You want them to really perform. And Deshaun Watson barely played, and then when he did play, he didn't really look very good. And then Nick Chubb, of course, everybody saw that injury, and there's questions on his future following that injury. Nick Chubb went healthy and absolute stud, so there's a chance he can come back. That's the only reason I'm dropping him down. I also mentioned earlier that I think he made the best pick in the draft, Jordan Love. Top 10 quarterback, 25 years old, round 10. Like, you gotta give him props on that. And then on top of it, I mean, he drafted a league winner that was also still on the younger side. So props to Bailey and the Tyrone Tornadoes on that. All right, next up, we got me, the Cardiac Cats. Got to give myself another A minus again. Just not quite on that tier to really compete now, but I have a really strong foundation built for the future. The main knock on my draft is Joe Burrow. Got hurt, wasn't really performing at the level that he needed to. But when you have a team that's made up of young studs like Amon-Ra St. Brown, I got the number 1 Dynasty tight end in Sam Laporta. And then C.J. Stroud is looking like an absolute monster. I believe he's rated the number 3 Dynasty quarterback at the moment. And then, of course, Bailey, got to give myself props. I was the one who drafted Kyron Williams. So regardless, this is focused on not necessarily the seasons made, but the draft and recap. And so that's where I'm sticking with that A minus. The main problem that I've got right now is I had some terrible picks in Miles Sanders. You can kind of knock on Ramondre Stevenson a little bit because I believe I took him like round 4, and you kind of want a little bit better performance there. But still, strong foundation of a bunch of young, talented wide receivers, a young quarterback, young tight end. So really excited for the future. All right, we got Polish Hammers. This was originally my highest grade of the season. It was an A+. I've got to bump them down to a B+. Main reason being is that Patrick Mahomes had a down season. I'm still considering one of the most valuable quarterbacks in the league. And then Kyler Murray, when he returned, was really just a strong top 10 fantasy quarterback when he was playing. Top of that, he's got a really exciting young core of players with Jordan Addison, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tank Dell. that really gives a nice blend of high upside players that are younger while also the strong foundation of Mahomes and Kyler to go forward. So props to Polish Hammers, B+. Got my car broke now, our number 2 performer throughout the regular season. Original grade was a C-. I'm bumping it up to a B+ now. It kind of seems like a gimme, but I got to give him his best pick is Josh Allen. Josh Allen's been the number 1 quarterback the past 2, maybe 3 years. I mean, he's just been dominant, and he had chances to take possibly more higher, rushing upside with Jalen Hurts. But in terms of just best value for a quarterback in fantasy right now, it's got to be Josh Allen. So I got to give him his props. That's got to be probably his best pick. Worst pick, I'm going to give Kenny Pickett. Dealt with some injuries this year, really underperformed, and even got replaced by Mason Rudolph at the end of the season. That's a little bit cause for concern. But he's still got a nice foundation of players. He took the risk on Jonathan Taylor. He drafted A.J. Brown, who's 26 years old, top 5 wide receiver, so really strong there. Got to give my Carbro props on that, so B+. Next up, we have New Delhi OG Indians. I do believe he changed his team name a little bit, so I apologize for that. But my original grade for it was the B, and then postseason grade, I'm going to stick with a B. I got to give him props. His best pick, probably Dak Prescott, which was a pick that I questioned prior to the draft. I understand the upside and wanting to kind of lock down that consistent quarterback, but Dak is on the bit older side. The main reason I'm giving him props, though, is because Dak probably had his best season of his career and was absolutely electric with CeeDee Lamb. So comparing that with the other risky pick of taking Lamar Jackson as QB4, I mean, he finished actually, I think he took him 3rd overall. But, I mean, he had Lamar Jackson, QB4, and then Dak Prescott, QB3. That's just a really strong foundation of quarterbacks. Also selected Tyreek Hill, who was absolutely phenomenal this year and was in the running for fantasy MVP. So congratulations to New Delhi OG Indians on the postseason grade of B. Be patient. I have autism. He probably had some of the best foundational picks in terms of future and upside in the league. He drafted Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Puka Nacua. Then, of course, he took Jamar Chase round 1. So really strong core of positional players that's really going to help him build a foundation. My one concern for him is it's got him right in that middle tier of can he push over the edge to compete for a championship, or is he going to struggle to lose enough to be able to draft one of those top 2 quarterbacks in possible future drafts? He did draft Jared Goff, who finished quarterback 7 on the season. That's great performance. Goff's still 29 years old, so still got some years left in him. Hopefully can perform. Haven't quite seen Goff make that move towards that top 5 quarterback position yet. But if you think about it, he still made a couple of the pieces with drafting Kirk Cousins and then trading for Derek Carr to really kind of hold that position down and really support some of that underlying cast. If he had a stronger, younger quarterback to just kind of go as a foundation with this, I'd probably push him up towards that A-, B+ tier. But he's just a little bit under that just because I still have concerns about his quarterbacks going forward. Now you got Therapy Dinosaur. Therapy Dinosaur probably had one of the best picks in the draft in drafting CeeDee Lamb round 2. 24 years old, really just made that next push in terms of competing for that top wide receiver spot in terms of dynasty value with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase in that tier. He also drafted TJ Hawkinson, who's tied in 1 pretty much the entire year. He's got a really strong foundation he's got a top 10 quarterback in Justin Herbert. He's got actually 2 top 5 dynasty tight ends in terms of Hawkinson and Trey McBride. And then he's got CeeDee Lamb. The main reason I'm bumping his down is because some of his supporting cast is a little bit weaker in terms of players like Javonte Williams, who just really weren't stepping up how they needed to. But regardless, got to give him props. He really has a nice, strong, talented piece. He's kind of similar to Be Patient, I Have Autism in terms of he's got such strong key pieces that it might affect him from being able to either push that next tier if he doesn't get a better supporting cast, or from struggling just enough to get another high upside quarterback to really kind of push him over that final edge to go with Justin Herbert. All right, now we got Team Standre, original grade was a D minus, postseason grade C. I'm bumping him up a little bit because some of his foundational pieces are really nice. He also drafted Will Levis, who took over the quarterback spot for the Titans and honestly looked pretty solid throughout. So that could be an actual quarterback one for him going forward. Hopefully, he continues to perform. He also drafted James Cook, and James Cook was a top 5 running back to finish the year and is young. He's like 23, 24 years old, so really high upside there. Worst pick, probably going to go with Cooper Kupp just because of the age, the injuries, and not really performing at the level that you're hoping for from previous seasons with Kupp. But regardless, still a helpful piece. He's got DeAndre Hopkins. He's got Saquon Barkley to pair with some of his young core with Jefferson, Mark Andrews, James Cook, those guys. He really just needs a quarterback. So maybe in this upcoming draft, he'll be able to lock one down. Injury reserved. Original grade was a B plus. I really thought he was going to be a strong win now team, and he started off the season pretty strong. I believe he was number 2, number 3 for the majority of the season. The reason I'm bumping him down to a C minus is because some of his older guys and his older elite options, by the end of the season, they were like falling off a cliff. I mean, Austin Eckler wasn't performing like he needed to. Devontae Adams kind of had an okay season. Stephen Diggs was really strong throughout, but then he had like a 6-game stretch where like he wasn't scoring at all. So got to bump him down. He's still got Jalen Hurts. He's still got that elite fantasy QB2, but cause for concern in terms of some of those guys. Best pick, probably David Montgomery. Really was just a top 10 running back pretty much the entire time that he was playing. Still looking like their main guy, even though they have Jahmyr Gibbs. Hopefully he can continue to step up, maybe get a couple of pieces to replace some of those older guys and make a push going forward. All right, next up we got Anyone But Sam, our big loser on the year. Original grade was a D+, and postseason grade's a D+. He made that trade. He traded his 3rd-round pick in the startup to move up from his 1st-round pick to Bailey Jeter's 1st-round pick to lock down Trevor Lawrence. I understand the upside's there. Trevor Lawrence still really talented, really young, but he finished as QB 13 on the season. That's not what you're looking for when you're making such a big trade to move up for him. His best pick was probably Kenneth Walker. He had Kenneth Walker and Pacheco, who were looking like 2 young, promising running backs. Worst pick, probably got to go with Quentin Johnson. There are other guys there, and Quentin Johnson just really underperformed this year, and it's a little bit concerning. So got to give him the knock there. Regardless, he's got the number 1 pick this year. He'll probably able to lock down Caleb Williams, or he could go with Marvin Harrison. Those are probably the 2 guys that he's considering right now. And he's got to decide whether he wants to roll the dice again with Aaron Rodgers and Trevor Lawrence, or whether he just wants to secure that long-term quarterback option with Caleb Williams. So got to give him the knock there, but we'll see how he does going forward. And then to round off our draft grades, we got Pamela Henderson. We've got original grade B+, postseason grade. I'm going to give him the lowest score of a D-. His best pick was Devon Achane. His worst pick, in my opinion, probably Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks just is not performed in terms of, especially the loss of A.J. Brown, just not been what the Titans have needed. And there's really strong questions on whether he's ever going to turn a leaf or not. He kicked off the draft drafting Justin Fields and then Bryce Young with his first 2 picks. So he understood the need to go out and get some quarterbacks, but Fields already had questions of whether he was going to even be the quarterback going forward if he had another down year. Now that's an even bigger question right now. Do they keep him? Do they trade him? He's possibly going to be the Falcons quarterback coming up soon. So there's still a chance that there's value there, but when it's your 1st-round pick, you don't want those kind of questions. And then unfortunately, my guy Bryce Young, just no weapons, not really playing like the number 1 pick that you'd hope for. Just kind of struggled, and it's a little bit concerning on top of that, especially as your number 2 pick. His wide receivers that he drafted, he drafted some young upside wide receivers like Chris Olave and Jackson Njigba, which is why I gave him a B+ originally. I really thought he had some nice pieces and could really make a move, but just a lot of his guys really underperformed. That's a little bit concerned, so that's why I got to give it with the D-. All right. Guys, just want to thank you guys again for another great season. It's been a lot of fun trying to make it more fun for you guys and just kind of make it goofy. If you guys could, please, if you haven't already, Venmo Bailey. It's just $50. I believe he's buying a Kyron Williams jersey. That seemed to be the consensus.
again, shout out to Bailey, just shout out to the rest of the league. Really appreciate everybody's effort, really made it a lot of fun, and hope you guys enjoyed the end of the season recap. Thank you.
Signing off.
Signing off, out of here.